Folks, wherever you are in the world, would like to say welcome to my Lutheran Connections online TV. Today, we have another round of conversation that promises to be very exciting. This is going to be well coordinated by me, Josiah F. Joka Jr., my brother, Wale Koboy, Jerry Tablo, and Abel Liawali. Technology has brought us together in an amazing way. Jerry Tablo is of the St. Andrew Parish in Gaytown, Liberia, but he currently resides in Freetown, Sierra Leone. He is a diplomat and works for the Mano River Union. And Willa Koboy is in Georgia, the United States. I'm also in Connecticut, the United States. And Abel Liawali is right there in Monrovia, too. Here, the three of us, that's Willie, Abel, Josiah, we are all members of the St. Matthew Lutheran Parish, known as the Warehouse. And our guest today is no other but a household name in Liberian politics and governance structure, Honorable James N. Fromoyan. We can read his profile here. We can just give you highlights. James N. Fromoyan is a seasoned administrator. He's a fighter of social justice, a long time, and they succeeded in bringing us the multi-party democracy that we enjoy in Liberia today. So it's really an honor for us to have Honorable Fromoyan as our guest. Today we will be discussing the guidelines and timetable for the ensuing 2022 Lutheran Church in Liberia Bishopric election. So basically, for housekeeping, brothers Willie and Abel will be supporting us technically, and Jerry Tablo and I will be conducting the interview. That means we will be asking our former professor, Honorable Fromoyan. He actually taught us at the University of Liberia, so it is an honor for us that we will be asking him questions today. On the crucial topic, the LCL 2022 Bishopric election guidelines and timetable. So I'd like to say welcome to everybody. We just make a round. Brother Willie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here. It is an honor to be in the presence of the Honorable James Fromoyan. Some of us quickly heard of him, even though we all are from the same Christian faith and serve, God as Lutheran Christians. But I've not had the opportunity to see him. So thank God for technology, and Father, I'm very grateful. I'm honored to be with you this evening.
Thank you.
Great, Brother Abel Liawali.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. It's an honor tonight to be in the presence of the chairman and in the presence of all of you. I'm so glad that the word can bring us together like this, in this manner. Thank you so much.
Great. Jerry Tablo, it's been long. We have not met. We have not had our conversations we used to have before in person. But again, I want to say gracefully, technology has us together today. Jerry, you are welcome. You're a co-host, but let me just take off time to say Jerry also is a long-time fighter for social justice in Liberia. And today he's a diplomat. I'm very proud of him. Jerry, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joka. And I also want to extend my appreciation to Father Fromoyan. We are so glad that we have you in our midst. Like Joka said, that we are going to ensure that we ask some questions, and so that we seek some clarity as it relates to the 2022 Bishopric elections of the LCL. I want to also extend my appreciation to my colleagues, Willie and Lewelly, who will be giving us some technical support, and also extend my appreciation to the viewers that are watching. And I hope that it's going to be an enjoyable night, very fascinating and very, exciting. Joker, thank you so much again for the intro.
You're welcome, Jerry. And folks, I talk about the parishes that we all are we are all members of, but I forgot to talk about Honorable Fromwaya. He's from the St. Peter's Lutheran Parish to the Cathedral of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. So you see, we are all Lutheran Christians here, and our interest is to promote the church, to be able to encourage everyone to do what Christ charged us to do. So today we will go right into our conversation, but before then, we'd like to say welcome, Mr. Fromwaya. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your invitation to be on the show this evening so that we can discuss the Lutheran Church as far as the pending bishopric election is concerned, as you have clearly stated. So it is my distinguished pleasure really to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Fromwaya, and that takes us straight into the conversation. First, we would like you to please give us an overview of the guidelines and timetable that you publish for the ensuing election. What is the significance? Why the guidelines and timetable at this time?
Thank you very much. It was sometime ago, I believe, late September or thereabout, when Bishop Jensen called me to see if indeed I could chair the committee to conduct the next election for the Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. I told him, well, as a member of the Lutheran Church, I can shy away from responsibility. I will be willing to serve the church. And in that capacity, I certainly will. So he was happy, and then he told me he was going to get other members of the committee. So in due course, he submitted the name of Sister Dede Howard as the vice chair, Sister Cyril Taylor, who have headed election for Bishop of the Church of Lutheran Church before, Sister Yama Boa as a member, and Reverend Louis McKay is the fifth member of the committee, the five-member committee. So that's the committee that was given the responsibility to conduct the bishopric election in April of 2022. It should also be known that this is not the first time that election will be conducted for Bishop of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. The last election that was held at Phoebe, which was the second term of Bishop Jensen, was conducted. I chaired it along with Dede Howard, and we conducted it. And this is just to follow suit, in terms of conducting the election. Most of when we got the information, most of what we needed to come up with are just been existing document that will be published where we thought necessary. But I heard through your intro and some of the questions that they were lingering around, that a lot of things were left. I mean, we obviously could not, as a specific just guideline, get into detail of punitive measures, especially in a church setting. I mean, certain thing, as I said, this is not the first time we're going to have election. That's specific thing that we expect a member of the church to carry themselves through. We not going to apply rigidity in a way that is done with political election, as the case may be. Yes, we will have a guideline that basically will require people to do specific thing consistent with what have been laid, and other instrument that we see necessary to help us carry on the work of conducting election. We know indeed that there are issues that will require protests in some cases, as expected, because even the church election is as contested, is hotly contested, like a national election for political office. We know, we are conscious of that. But based on our experience from the past election, it is indeed very challenging. We know this because we experienced it, as I said, the last election when I chaired it, the threat coming from a specific quarter here and there. But basically, we were able to make sure that whatever was the guideline, the number of people that were to take part in the elections as submitted by the delegates submitted by the various parishes, those challenges that will come about. Obviously, we are not insensitive to the fact that people will come with challenges, as the case may be. The guideline we have will not address all the issue, as the case may be. People who will have information with respect to a specific candidate or any particular guideline that the field is quite challenging, they will raise it. We we are not going to shy away from issue that will come up, but whatever issue that come up will be discussed. Those that we can handle, the appropriate. It is unfortunate that I didn't know in advance that we're going to have this meeting, to have some of the committee member and the like of Robbie Magay to have been here, or Sister Taylor, who have had vast experience in conducting the church election, to have participated in this useful discussion as it turned out to be. So basically, we as I said, we didn't want to apply any rigidity, get outside of lay down procedure. So if we didn't have any serious problem with those lay down procedure, we go ahead and open the guideline to the public. Just having things on where we are, I mean, is the time it takes, to just move up and down. Up to now, we are behind the office of the bishop, just to have a place to sit and operate from. We got some basic operational fund to be able to dispatch communication. The parishes are many. The challenge you have to get information across where all Lutherans are, it is not an easy task. Some of the places they're very difficult to reach. Some people will receive communication and they will claim that according to past experience, that they didn't receive it. So it is just a daunting task. But we believe it has to be done. At the end of the day, what we want done is to have a credible an election where the person that the majority of the delegate want as person to be the next bishop is is declared as such, and then nothing anybody has to worry about in terms of the credibility of the process. As I said, we did it even in the face of threats. The last election, where people said they were going to beat us, we would do this and that. So my deputy at the time was the same Dada Howard. I told Dada, I said, but he came to me, Chairman, I'm afraid the people say they come and beat us. But I said, look, let's do what is right. I mean, I'm not afraid of being beaten. Who want to beat me, it will be all up to them. And we took charge. People brought complaints back and forth. I mean, it's it's a challenging job because the representation. I mean, I don't have much idea of the various parishes and what have you.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I mean, perhaps I can if I have gone a little too long, I can stop there. But basically, as I said, it's a committee that is set to do what is appropriate, so that we'll be able to have a bishop that is the choice of majority of the delegates that will be taking part in the election.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Fromaya. We know very well that the tax you have is critical in nature. We can't overemphasize, the measure of the challenges that you face. But we are also glad that you did this before, and you did it so very well. That's the consolation that I know Lutherans have, that you did this before and you did it very well. And I'm sure your record speaks well. That is why the bishop and the current leadership of the LCL decided to have you take on this once more. So every one of us here, we are very pleased that you are the one in charge of this. But let me also indicate that we all know that there are no small elections. Elections constitute competition, and when there's competition, there's vested interests. So people want to be sure that people play by the rules. So as much as we know that it's in the church setting, but it is a competition to bring somebody to the highest position in the church for a specified period consistent with the church constitution. That's why the conversation today is very critical. And I will also want you to know that some of the things you talk about, we will delve into the specifics for you to talk about them more. But you also provided some key information about the structure of the committee, the importance of the guidelines, so we appreciate all of those information you provided, and we will go into the specifics. But let me just ask you, you raised the issue of support as a committee, which is, and I'm sure my colleague Jerry will agree with me that that is crucial, even before we can come to the next question that we have. Everyone wants to know whether or not you have the support that you need to do this job, because you are already faced with, mounting challenges. So do you really have the support? Do you have the office space now? Are you seated at the LCL headquarters? Do you have the resources? Because you did this before, they should not be scratching their head. They should make the resources available to you readily so that you do the job. Just tell us, do you have the support that you need to do the job?
Well, in part, I would say yes. We have some level of support so far in terms of budgetary support. I think we had a budget of 2,000 US. That is to buy the essential thing that we need: stationery, buying ledger, just to be able to dispatch material, and then basic amount for transport and so forth. And then on top
Transportation.
of that, we needed an office space. Yeah, transportation. Yeah, we needed
Okay.
transportation. We needed an office space. So we received an amount of $1,000, half of what we put in for. But it is the office space that then have been identified. I'm going to the compound tomorrow to try to get the office space. Till I fan, whether they fan or not, we can sit there. It's just idea of having a place to. I don't think it is
Okay, that's
it
very
is
good.
worth going
That's
that
very
route.
good.
So that's
Yeah,
basically what it is like. Yeah. So by
that's
tomorrow
good to know.
we should be
You
able
have
to
part.
see where we
You
have
have
the
part
office.
of the support. You have part of the support. You have a budget of
Yeah,
$2,000, and you've been giving
we're gonna
50%.
have.
That's very
Yeah,
good. And you are currently in discussion with the leadership to provide you the office space, which is good.
yeah, yeah.
That's impressive.
It will be finalized by tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay, Jerry, you want to come in there?
Yeah, thank you, Josiah. And I again want to say thank you, Mr. Chair, for the
Yeah.
fortitude. And you have been in this before, so I'm not too sure the threats of beating is something that should sway you, you know. But we are looking at a process that will be transparent. And I know for the way that you have always been mindful not to sacrifice uh, transparency and quality on the altar of, you know, these kind of challenges like budgetary support, office space, etc. While it is true that it's very important, I will want to know, as you are in preparation of getting ready for this entire elections, what do you envisage as over and above just getting portion of the budget support portion? I mean, trying to get office space. What else do you envisage as challenge or challenges going through this entire process?
Well, Jerry, I think firstly to come back to the last election. At that time, I was working in government, and then on the personal level, I was able to chip in a lot. I didn't have to worry about transport, going back and forth, even going to Phoebe, where we had a convention. It was that's the level of sacrifice we're making at the personal level. But things are not like that today. I mean, I can do the same thing today. So we, yeah, we as long as we have the essential, we're not asking the bishop and I chatted the last time. We told them that, look, we need, once we got the office space, we need at least a desktop, a computer also to be there. But when they said that they don't have money, and we didn't want that they buy new computer, just for for ad hoc committee. We were thinking that you have existing computer, in the office that we can use temporarily, and then leave it when we are done with the work. But complaining with that things are difficult and what have you. So, okay, we'll use the personal one that we have, but once we have an office space, that is to us fundamental. We'll be able to manage with our personal laptop. And I must admit that Reverend Maggie have been doing extremely well. I mean, as the secretary of the committee, the distribution of this material, because to all that we're seeing it as a race again, I mean, at time, So, I mean, he's at GST in Banga, and then he was able to come in contact with a lot of of the people in that area, and then also Pastor Pay, who went to Lofa on Friday I mean, he was able to carry a package from us. So those kind of things that we can do. And as I said, for some of us, if we have a task to perform, Jerry, we take it very seriously, because the only one thing some of us have in life is our
Mr. Chairman,
name.
I'm sorry. Let me just
Yeah,
interrupt you a little bit because of the
yeah,
magnitude of Jerry's question. This is very significant, and Jerry, thank you for
yeah,
taking it to another level. This reminds us that you still have some serious challenges because you need the utilities. You need a utility vehicle. You need a computer to be set up that is institutionally owned to be used, not your private laptops, Mr. Chairman. This is an election of the church. The church has to make sure that every step of the process is transparent. You need to use the institution's equipment. There should be an office space temporarily just for the process, and desks, chairs, one desktop computer that won't hurt. It shouldn't take the church, anything to do that. So what I'm hearing from you is that you guys got to be scrambling. And I know the transportation situation in the country. You're talking about the Southeast. You're talking about Northern Liberia. How inaccessible the roads are. How are you getting communications to our people who are not connected technology-wise? How are you getting communications to them? This is tough. This is not just your family stuff. This is the Lutheran Church in Liberia's bishopric election. Everything has to be put in place, Mr. Chairman. Are you guys taking this up with the leadership of the church in a way that they understand that they need to make them available so that you don't face the same challenges you faced yesterday, and you don't face the threats that you and your families faced yesterday during the last election? I think you guys need to take this up seriously with the church.
Well, again, I think we basically, you have a point, and a strong one, but I'm not the type that want to see, like, taking on choice. We know that we need what it would take to do the work, and as I said, we first and foremost a place to sit. We shall show by tomorrow. We should have that finalized. No matter how the condition of the place, we can get a fan there. Once you got chair, decks, where just we'll be able to keep documents. That cannot be taken back and forth. That we can have meeting on a regular basis. Without we have a key to it, and so forth. When the bishop told me that, things I thought we couldn't get a laptop, and we were not talking. I mean, they wouldn't get computer. We were not talking about they buying brand computer. I mean, just a workable, computer that in working condition for us to have. I mean, I mean, out of clear conscience, I wouldn't want to tell him, because as a bishop, I mean, I know he's telling me the truth. You have no reason to be doubting, what he's saying. On the basis of that, I said, well, Bishop, if there's no computer, then our personal laptop will use them as the case may be. That cannot store the work. If we can get a laptop that should be internally gotten, we can't be talking about you do the vehicle. I mean, to get that. I can. What we put in for transportation was just I think to give for each meeting people.
Jerry wanted to come in with I think Jerry wanted to come in with a follow-up question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josiah, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I said, again, I'll repeat, and not for the sake of redundancy, but just to say that I admire your fortitude, you and your committee, but I didn't get clearly from you, and maybe the viewers will want to know. The budget of 2000, was it the committee's projection, or was it the LCL projected allocation for the bishopric election?
Yeah, thank you, Jared. We work on the committee based on uh, previous election, and then looking at the cost of material today, so it was on the basis of that that we came with our budget and presented it to the leadership of the church, through the office of the bishop. Yeah. So it was as I said, Sister Taylor had chaired the election commission before. I think she'd been in it for quite some time, so she had knowledge. And then what we did in the last election, we looked at the budget, and then we were able to carve up a current budget of 2,000.
So maybe my last question on this, maybe I'll call it the economics of the whole process. Yes. I said maybe my last question on this, maybe I will call it the economics of the process, before we can get to the next phase of morality and all of the other issues. So that means the committee was the one that made a projection of the 2,000. Then my question is, do you have the surety that though 50% has been given, you're going to receive the next 50%, and how soon?
Well, I mean, I for now, I don't have any reason to doubt. Then I believe we'll receive it. I mean, we have not exhausted, all what we have. As I said, we will not buy the stationery. We're going to buy basic thing that we won't have place to keep. So the $1,000, for the most part, except for some of the photocopying that we did now to dispatch material, I mean that's all. But in terms of the ledger, the basic thing that we need to have for the office, we said we had to have the office space before we can do those procurement.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in that, I can't take the church, material supply to my private office, as the case may be.
Right.
That's
Right. Great questions, Jerry and Mr. Well, thank you very much for the insights. We would like to also find out quickly. The guidelines don't mention anything about election day. What's the date? Do you have any date fixed for election? On what date will the election take place? I'll look.
Well, no, the date is not yet set, as the case may be. Neither is the venue. We don't have the venue as yet, and the date of the election, but it's going to be in April. We know that, but the specific date has not been worked out. So that's what I mean. We will not release it. We stay behind. Running after the detail from the office of the bishop, so that once if we have had the date, we have definitely publish it. But it is not yet set. As I said, neither is the venue settled.
Okay, in that case, do you plan to make an amendment to the guidelines when the venue and the date, are determined? Do you intend to make the adjustment in the guidelines and
Well, yeah. I mean, it will just be now the question of communicating, that information to to the membership of the church. Yeah.
Okay.
So we couldn't wait. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, the next round of questioning will be on morality. Jerry and I will make rounds in talking a little bit about morality, and the reason is simple: the guideline highlights morality, you know, as one of the emphasis that as parents have to take note of. So you want to make sure that those who will be throwing their hats in the race will be contesting for
Yeah.
that mark, will be people to meet your morality requirement. Um, the guidelines don't say anything about penalty for violations, and I understand you mentioned the issue of not wanting to be rigid, you know, but
Yeah.
again, I like to um, sound out the importance of the elections, like you know, it's about contest. So people will be contesting for an important position in the
Yeah.
church, the highest seat, you know, as far as the church administration is concerned. Um, so people will have to play by the rules. So what if a morality issue comes up? Uh, will you launch any form of investigation? And if the person is found liable, um, what measures will you take? How will you deal with such issue?
Well, again, we as election committee will be open to, so we will not be looking for cases. I mean, it's up to now, I don't know who all running to begin with, because we have not yet started receiving communication, based on our guideline. The time is not yet. So, except just name it here through the grapevines and so forth. So it will be individuals out there, members of the church, that will pose challenges where they think there's need to do so against a particular aspirant. And if that is done, there's a body responsible for just slightly, I don't know, the body that the issue will be referred to, because we will not, as I said, we are a committee. We don't have the ultimate power to, decide to know if, in fact, candidate A probably went somewhere and stole money, or got into some IT. He's a gentleman, got, in some woman business, whatever the case may be. Somebody bringing the issue up, we have had their evidence and everything, and if it's brought to our attention, it will have to be dealt with. I mean, as the case may be, and if the evidence is 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 glaring, I think beyond, because we say we'll have some legal people around too, people from in the church that will be consulted in the process. If it is something that is proven against a particular person, of course that should be a basis for disqualification. I mean, before it being mentioned, So it's based on the strength of the evidence that we have been adduced, then we'll look into it. It will that candidate certainly cannot go forward, and as I can see, So
Yeah.
at least that
So,
much we know we can push to make sure that that is not something that will be glossed over. So those who come in
Yeah,
will get
yeah,
to have
that's critical.
some
That's
evidence.
critical, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for the
Yeah.
interruption, but Jerry, I don't want Jerry to lose his thought. Jerry wanted to come in shortly. Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Josiah. I think the question on morality is the crux of the discussion, because we are talking about a church, and we are talking about an
Yeah.
election that will be looking at people that will be placed in the highest office of the church. And if you read your guidelines that are shown, you extrapolated from the constitution of the church, stated clearly that he or she should be without reproach. I mean, and we are all mortal beings. You are the election commission or committee. And I agree with you to the extent possible that you are not going out to look for cases. But you should not negate the fact that cases will come. And I'm not too sure you were clear when Josiah asked what are the mechanisms you got in place in addressing those issues in the event that it comes. I'm not too sure. And I'm sure the followers or the viewers will want to understand what mechanism you already constrained budget wise. That's another big issue. But what mechanism you already thinking on in the event that such a situation arises?
Yeah, there's a specific committee in place, a body in place that a reference of such case will be made to, that will look into it, and then go through the adjudication process. Good. And then come up with decision. It go above the level of the committee. The committee will highlight it, will not ignore it, will have complete interest in trying to know the outcome of it. I mean, we will not just sit supinely and say that there's a committee looking at it, but whatever the outcome be like, we have to make sure that everybody get to know the outcome. I mean, I agree with you. It's a church election, and we should be above any other election. I mean, in terms of those who want to get to be the steward of the church for the next 5 years or so. Our power just gone off again now.
That's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
understand it.
The board put it on that one. Jesse. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman. We got you, and I'm sure Jerry and the other folks, Eben and Willie, are very pleased to hear that you have a special committee in place to look at the morality issue as well as character assassination, because that's one aspect of it. I know that when those kinds of issues come up, when there are complaints against a candidate, there is a committee in place that will look at that. You have a well-defined mechanism in place. That's quite essential. And our viewers definitely, I'm sure, will be pleased that you have such mechanism in place that is independent of the electoral committee. Yeah, so that is important for building trust and confidence in the electoral process. So, Jerry, do you still want to roll over the morality?
Well, yes. Sorry, Josiah. It's quite important. When I listened to the chair, he said that a committee would be the committee is already in place for such a process. But I would want to push further to ask the chair, because you gave your grounding for disqualification. You say when the evidence is proved to be, you say, beyond reasonable doubt, because you're talking about the character of a person. So it got to be the standard of proof. And if you're going into such legality that has to do with the standard of proof, and I would just like to know whether or not your committee is prepared in the event that the person whose character has been assassinated or whose character has been distorted will want to move on beyond the church, going to the court. Is it allowed? Or will there be a way that we will be able to handle the situation and say church matter, so we cannot go to that extent? I just want to know how far your committee is willing to go, or the mechanism that you have in place is willing to go on this issue in the event that somebody will want to go beyond that to take it to the court?
Well, I mean, as I said, the church itself have its own lawyer, some members. The church are legal people, and in the kind of matter, you don't leave them out. You need legal advice as much as possible, because yeah, if one character is brought into question, it becomes a serious matter for the accuser. So you have to make sure that you have your fight on hand. And when we say that we want evidence that is I mean preponderance of evidence, it is because also we know that this is a church issue. So you don't want to say that aspirant X did this and that, and then the evidence, may not be strong enough to back, what you are saying. So that's all we just want everybody to be protected as much as possible, so that you provide allegation, go, to the nitty-gritty of it, present all your facts that you have, and in the end, if it is something that have to go to court, it certainly won't, probably won't be the fights in church matter that will go to court. We are not looking forward to that, but church matter have gone to court before. I mean, and that wouldn't be the first, if at all, he had the ball to that. But I think the mechanism that have worked in the past, I think we can build on that. For the last election, what I observed was not much of, probably all election can be the same. So let me not do that. But the basic two elections that I was able to observe, we had some issue, coming up. People try to disrupt the process by asking unnecessary questions that we have to threatening to put some of them out, because their principals, were already in agreement with the listing that were provided. And one of such person came and said that the list was problematic. There was some name there, people who were not qualified to vote. So I had to tell him, I said, young man, I mean, your principal is a pastor, he's a candidate, he approved of the list, so you have no standing to question the list. You're not a pastor. You if you continue, I mean, disrupting the process, I will have you out of the hall. So I mean, we're very, very, clear on that. So he shut him off because he was already like somebody halfway drunk. You could see, so you have those type of
Thank
people
you.
that will come
Thank you.
there to
Thank you,
disrupt the
Mr.
process.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Thank you for those beautiful insights. And Jerry, thank you, for those thought-provoking questions as well. But let me say, Mr. Chairman, we are placing emphasis on the morality pillar of your guidelines and timetable. Because right now, it is a known fact that our society, that's the Liberian society, is suffering a moral deficit. And the church is supposed to be, that mirror image of the society, that image that society is supposed to take after, supposed, to be the moral voice of society, the moral picture of society. And anyone becoming the bishop of the Lutheran Church, one of the constituent organizations to the Liberia Council of Churches, is supposed to be somebody with high moral standing. So I give you, let's introspect a little bit. I'm sure we all can recall when the Liberia Council of Churches accused the then administration of Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of being corrupt, of being endemically corrupt. The Liberia Council of Churches had a release describing the government of being corrupt. I remember the Minister of Information back then, Louis Brown, responded, and his response was very dramatic. His response to the Liberia Council of Churches was that, hey, uh, we may be corrupt as a government, but the officials and members of government are your church members, are members of your mosque, are members of your worship houses. That spoke volume. And we need to take cognizance of that as we go to the elections, that you want a leadership with a high moral standing that will be able to speak up, that will be able to engage the government as a way of transforming society so that we can regain our status. Make sure that we have a society with the right moral standing. So that is part of the basis of our emphasis on the morality pillar of your guidelines and timetable. So we will move to something else, and we will let Abed and Willie let us know it is time for.
But I think if I may just come in, I think that issue you and Jerry talk is important.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived in the country for quite some time, and I know what the church did in the past. I truly honored the late Michael Francis, who I always had great deal of admiration for. Michael Francis, I mean, as the foremost, clergy person of this particular period that we see ourselves in. I think he did everything. He was an embodiment of the moral conscience, of the society. He did everything. He didn't have to. He wanted to live in comfort. The Catholic Church, the wealthier, of all churches, we know that, the Catholic denomination. But he was there for the people. He took on government. Taylor, he did everything. But though he was one of those, I mean, I can still recall that even in 1979, when Benny Warner of the Methodist, church, the bishop then was called by Toba to be his running mate after James Green died.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Francis and our own bishop at the time, I mean, Roland, Payne, Bishop Payne, and Brown of the Episcopal Church, Joy Brown. They had a program. I mean, Dr. Sawyer had a television program called Forum, Amos Sawyer. Invited those three clergymen and they dealt with Benny Warner. Benny Warner could not be a vice president at the same time be a full-time bishop of the Methodist Church. He needed to relinquish the bishopric, position, saying he wanted to be VP, and they tore Benny Warner down. So I just want to tell you that the role that some of these people play as church leader, we know it very well. So I think we can downplay the issue of morality. Yeah.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. And folks, once again, you are watching Malnutrition Connections online TV. Today we are in conversation with Chairman James N. Fromoya of the 2022 Bishopric Electoral Committee. And the conversation is very interesting. At this time, I would like to find out from our technical team as to whether or not we have some messages or questions from our viewers. We can take them. And if they have numbers to announce, they can announce the numbers so that we can begin to take calls. Eva, Willie, are you there?
The numbers are on the dartboard. You have, so now you can call us in Liberia on 0776579187. And for those of you in the United States, you can call on the WhatsApp number 14103443210. Those are the numbers to call. And the chairman is prepared tonight to answer your questions and clarify your doubts.
Willie, I learned you have a question. Willie, can you come in with your question, please?
Sure. Thank you so much. And Chairman Fumoya, again, we want to say thank you very, very much for thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today and sharing light on the guidelines. My question has to do with the timetable that we have. Even though there's no specific date for the elections, but from the guideline, we have dates here. So I have two questions. One has to do with the fact that talking about the committee wants to handle the process in which um, it is like everyone sees the committee, the committee as being free and fair, conducting a free and fair process. Are you gonna? Is the committee considering coming up with a preliminary list, and those who have questions during that time period, the questions will be addressed, then come up with a final list? Because I asked the question when I look on the guidelines, I see here that the guideline talked about on Thursday, February 1st to the 15th is the publication of names of qualified candidates. And then Wednesday, February 16th, is going to be from February 16th to April 17th is the official campaign period. That's my first question. Then the second question is this: between prior to February 16 to April 17, which is the official campaign period, what happens if anyone or some group of people in the church are engaging in this campaign-like activities prior to that time? What is the committee stand? What's going to be the committee stand?
Well, you talking about
Pre-campaign.
somebody
Pre-campaign.
campaigning. Well, I mean, we again we did not put any punitive measure in the guideline with respect to pre-campaigning. We indicated the date of campaigning. We know that long before we even came out, people have been campaigning in a way. Is you can't tell a guy the process. You may not believe it. One of the aspirants had gone to in the private office around a few months back, I think about 2 or so months, when I was not yet, well, the bishop had contacted me. I consented to chair the committee, under the election. Yeah, so he went to me. We are in the building with Super Bella on Benson Street. To seek my support that he was contesting. No, he talked. So, I mean, I had to tell him that, look, the bishop asked me to be the chair, so I can't support anybody. So, I mean, the people have been campaigning it become difficult. You can't tell a guy to do it. It's just something that it will happen. Because I think basically, if you, it's just almost like at the national level, the guy is there, he knows. People go out to campaign in different shape and form, that you really can't nail them down. But at the end of the day, the main day will come. I think that someone asked whether we'll be able to be like chieftaincy election where people go stand behind candidate and what have you. No, it will be secret ballot. Use secret ballot like we're doing in the past, and we'll give. It will be a long night.
Mr. Chairman,
We'll not be giving preliminary.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't want you to respond. I didn't want you to respond to that question in a subtle way, because it's a significant part of our conversation. The viewers and voters really want to know what is going to happen on election day, because that will be our next round of questioning. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So basically, yeah, it would be hard to say, you'll be tracking, people. What we don't have a police force to to be able to check people from place to place, do whether they campaign. It's yeah. You just have to let them play themselves out, and make sure that people are comporting themselves as the case may be, and wait for the D-Day.
Right.
Hello? Yeah.
Willie, I'm sure you asked a question before the one the chairman just responded to. So you want to repeat your first question? Yeah.
Sorry, my first question was that if there's going to be like a preliminary list, is the committee considering a preliminary list?
Exhibition.
Okay, yeah.
Exhibition.
Okay.
Exhibition. So exhibit the list.
No, will it, the list, you will not have one. I mean, there will be changes will be made. People will come and say this person is not supposed to be here. I mean, y'all working out. It's so time consuming, yeah. But in the final analysis, you will settle down with a list that everybody will agree to. The list that will come to you first will not be the final, neither will the second, from my experience. So it will be, but at the end of the day, there will be an agreement, because there was some people are raising the issue, or the people in Guinea, they are now under the jurisdiction of Liberia, blah blah blah. But other issues will have be settled, because the last time they took part in the election, I don't know, what other problems somebody will have, this coming election to raise it. But it's yeah, that list, the challenges will be there. I mean, that one that we can rest assured. That's why it's important that we start on time, because it's really it can eat a lot of time.
Okay.
Yeah, but you will not have one list coming, or or even the second one. You will still have to go through, because people will be coming to complain. Some delegates that will be sent will say, well, they will like alternate, delegate. Other people will come. The real people have come. It's just that kind of back and forth thing, So you just got to be on top of what is coming up, and yeah, we behind the head office, so that we know the listing as it is, but let them give us an exhaustive list that we can look at to compare to what will be coming.
Right. They need to provide you. They need to provide you the comprehensive listing, and it has to be official, because the list constitute names of people based on the Constitution, the church's Constitution. So so I think the question is whether or not people will have the right to identify their particulars and everything, which is yes, it's obvious, because the particulars of the voter is quite important. The listing is also a determinant of the credibility, the nature of the credibility of the election. So that was a good question from Brother Willie. We have a quick question from one of our viewers. The person would like to know whether or not there will be a debate.
Whether there will be a debate?
Yeah.
Not really. We don't think that there will be a debate. That was not arranged. Again, as we have said, mostly we have followed precedent, and candidates will be able to speak, whatever the case may be. But there's nothing like a debate. We don't have that carved out as part of the program.
Mr. Chairman, we know that the bishop is the spiritual head of the church, but they also have administrative responsibility. They run projects and programs of the church. They oversee, the running of those projects and different programs of the church. They manage resources. They manage resources. And times are changing, Mr. Chairman. Times are changing. I know that this has been a precedent, but don't you think it is necessary for the voters to be able to know their candidates beyond just having the one-on-one conversation in the backgrounds, in the homes and other places? There will be a time to bring them together to talk about this so that they have time to have, exchange with the candidate of their choice, Don't you think it would be necessary even if you didn't plan it? Don't you think it's something to think about, something to do?
Well, probably we'll look into that. I mean, it's I can sit here, naturally say so, but I think it makes some sense. We'll try to see what can be done in that direction. I will pass it by my colleague.
Okay, so we look forward to that. I'm sure it will be interesting. Jerry, Abel, and Willow will agree with me, and it will be a groundbreaking approach, to the whole election aspect of our church. Where people now will have the opportunity to come in and face the voters. I think it's just quite necessary. Any thoughts on that, guys, before we get to our next round of questioning?
Yeah, I just want to also follow up that, Chairman, if the committee, until the committee considers that, what if another group in the church, like any other group in the church, it could be from the men, the women, decides to organize a debate? Will the committee like disapprove of it? And also, I just want to share also to hear that there are other people that are watching. People are watching on YouTube, Twitter, and on Facebook. Someone also has a concern on Facebook that they are asking for the committee to please provide a platform so that they can have an interaction with the candidates. So I believe other people are interested in having interaction with the candidate when you meet your team. So in short, my question is that, can any other group, while the committee is considering that, can any other group organize a debate?
Well, I think if it's I bring this to the view of the other committee member, we are separate, and I think it's upon reflection, it's a good idea. I think if it won't have to be in our hand, but we need to know the composition of such a committee so that we know that they are not leaning in any particular direction. I mean, it's that can even take a lot from us. We can sit and watch the process, but it's a committee that if there's a committee, we have to look at the composition of that committee and make sure that it's through a problem, acquisition or whatever the case may be. So, if we also have to do it, there's no big deal in that. It can be arranged. We can coordinate it. It's not a big deal.
We have a call. We'll break right now to take a call. We have a call. The first caller.
We have a caller on the line from the WhatsApp from Liberia. Please go ahead, state your name, and and ask your question. The chairman is listening.
Okay. My name is Comfort M. Freeman. I'm from the Barnesville Lutheran Parish, and my question is, I don't know whether it's a question or a statement, but actually, when we come to elections, even national elections, we have to spend some money. And looking at our church at this time, are we thinking about developing some means where we can be able to generate funding? Because we see there are a lot of applicants coming up. They want to go to elections. They want to be elected. Are we thinking about adding some costs to like registration to these elections? I mean, it's very costly, and I understand. I see what the chairman has been saying. There are a lot of money. There are a lot of expenses that are coming up, and we need support. And at this level, we know the church is going through a lot of trouble, a lot of financial problems. Are we thinking about that, where we can have our we can have these applicants being charged to register for elections, like what we do at national level? Are we thinking about that? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mother Freeman. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mother Freeman. Honorable Fromaya, you heard a question. In short, it's about Kennedy.
Yes.
Kennedy registration.
Yeah. No, I think she's so correct. I mean, from day one, if you can ask Reverend McGee, I brought it all. I said, look, this thing here, it should be cost sharing. People, you want to be bishop to head the whole Lutheran church in Liberia. If we discuss this with the office of the bishop, even though it had not been done in the past, but we can start it. These people, and I took it, just making comparison of the National Election Commission. Candidates pay money. These people, they got money to spend, and if you ask them to pay a percentage of what they are spending towards the cost of the election, they will go along with it. But unfortunately, it didn't, I didn't advance. I didn't push it too far with my colleagues. But it is, I think, Sister Freeman is so correct that I couldn't say anything more than that. I think that is something that if it doesn't work this time, we got to make a recommendation to that effect that in subsequent election, those aspiring should at least pay some let's share the cost. 50%, of the cost should be honor written by them and so forth, and they will be able to do it. You got to know what I mean to sit out there to be bishop.
Mr. Chairman, by all account, it's a great recommendation. However, if that was something to consider, I'm sure some of your critics will come at you, saying that you are on record for saying that you don't want the bishopric election to be a rigid process. Candidates are pastors, and it's just a church election. Let them just go and cast a ballot, and we know who the next bishop will be. Why do you want to charge the people? Your critics come at you with that criticism. What will you say to that?
No, when I talk about rigidity, I mean that is far from making people to contribute towards the holding of election. Those who have a greater stake in it. You are aspiring to be bishop. One time I went to bishop office when I left on that, I see why people be fighting to be bishop, in the church. Yeah,
what did you see? So what did you see, Mr. Chairman?
No, I mean I think just a quite elaborate office, that befitting of Lutheran bishop. So
the
I can see
entertainment,
why
the
people
staff,
will fight to be there.
the entertainment, the
So
staff.
I mean, I think if you, yeah, I think if you tell people to pay, even people running 300, 400, 500 now, they will be able to pay. They certainly will be, and that's something I think we'll be able to look into and make a recommendation to that effect. It make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
Okay,
Josiah, I just want to come in.
very good, Jerry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I think the caller made a very good point. We all agree, and we kept talking about precedents, but I would want to say tradition, because precedent is almost relative. I mean, to case law, where the judge will have to come in, or render some decision that will become a law, and subsequently, then people say obeys that as a precedence. But that's tradition that we have been having. My point is, where is your reliance if you want to suggest that to your committee now? I read the guidelines, I read the constitution, I read the bylaws. I did not see any cost implication of candidates registering. And I think it's good. And I think it's very good. But some of your colleagues who have been conducting this process before may have some reliance to put forth. You will just be giving a suggestion. So maybe I didn't read extensively, and you've okra or fail with the guidelines and the constitution as well as the bylaws. So what would be your reliance if you're making such a suggestion? I mean, so we need to clarify these things so the callers themselves can understand, some of the points. Because if you come and say that I will pass it as a suggestion, they may be thinking that yes, you will pass it as a suggestion and maybe it will be accepted, but there should be a persuasive point that you have to put forth your friend. And it's not anywhere in the constitution, in the bylaw, as well as it has not been a tradition. So
no, but the point here is that we are not everything that is in the constitution is exhaustive. That's why you always have amendment along the road. So we are saying that not for this period, when we are leaving, that's a recommendation, strong recommendation we can make. And I believe that it makes sense. And anybody, an original person will look at it, look, people are running, for the office, and the burden had in the past just rested on the shoulder of the church, and they should, pay some contribution towards the cost of the conduct of election. Let that be advanced forward to see whether it will not be accepted by people or not. Nobody went to say you're forcing it down the throat of people, but I think it makes just a great deal of sense. I'm not saying there's relying,
Right.
but it doesn't mean at the same time mean that we can't push for it, to be accepted. And as you call it a tradition, the tradition can be changed to take that into account. That if you're having a party, you can have party for you and you can pay for the party. I mean, you got to make some contribution towards the holding of the party.
Just a follow. Mr. Chair, you answered the question quite excellently. I was just trying to point out this fact so that you can know that if it is going to the committee, it should go to the committee as a suggestion, so that at least we can look at the amendment in the constitution or the bylaws so it can be stipulated. Once it's stipulated, it frees the committee, maybe not you next time, the chairman, the hassle of asking them, because it already be constitutional. And I see the reason why you did not put in the guideline, because it's not constitutional. Because as I said initially, everything that I read in the guidelines, it's a mirror image of the Constitution. It's clearly in the Constitution. So it's clear. So I just wanted the quarter, Madam Comfort, to understand why it's not there, but it's indeed relevant and there's a need for it to be there. But just a quick one before we go to the next round, Mr. Desai, if I'm permitted, sir.
Sure, do that. And let me just say that we are 9 minutes away from the end of the show. So Jerry will ask that question, and then our next round of questions will be on election day. The chairman will just quickly run us through what's going to happen on election day before we close. But before Jerry, we have a call.
Yes, the caller. Yes.
Go ahead. State your name and your question, please.
This is Noah Kennedy calling from Police Academy. I want to before I state my question, I want to provide some comments. I hear the chairman says that the church is lacking money to conduct the elections. Probably what I heard. And in my mind,
no, we need to clarify that before Noah goes further. Hello, Noah. Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling and welcome to the show. I just want to clarify that the chairman did not say that they lack funding for the election. The chairman said that they have a budget of $2,000 and the church has provided 50%. And he has no reason why the remaining 50% would not be provided, meaning that he is very optimistic that when it comes to the funding, they are well on course. So I wanted to clarify that. The chairman never said that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, with that clarity, then I want to ask a few questions. Question number one is, how do we members contact the committee on the guideline provided if we see there are people who are contesting who have issues? How we members can contact them? One. Two, if our concerns as members of the church is not adequately addressed by the committee, what's the next step the chairman can provide for us members to take? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noah, the chairman just got your questions. Two questions. The first one, the point of contact or the means of contact. You want to reach out to the committee with any issues, the chairman will provide that. The second question is the next step in case an issue is raised by a member of the church and they are not satisfied by the outcome. What the next step they should take? Chairman, from where?
Yeah, well, with respect to the contact, the guidelines, have been circulated to the various parishes, the various churches, and our contact information contained in the guideline, so you can reach us through that. I mean, through your church contact, you can do that. Then we said that obviously we will expect that people will have some complaint about a particular candidate or candidates, as the case may be. To bring it to our attention, there's a particular committee, special committee set up aside that will be able to look into the complaint. We will forward it to them, and we are hopeful that from there, whatever judgment they will render based on evidence that will be brought forward will carry the day. We'll make sure that transparency, and fair play have been exhibited every inch of the way, and that result will be made public.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jerry, can you come in with your question?
No, Josiah, then let's just proceed to the last round. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So this is the final round of questioning, and it's going to be on election day. Chairman, succinctly, we just want you to tell us exactly what's going to happen on election day. I know we have not decided on the day; it's not set yet, and the venue, but people will want to know what exactly is going to happen. What type of election are we going to have? How will it be conducted?
Well, on election day, we really expect that everybody will be set to go vote. we will have our setup, as early as we can. I think we will, as usual, liaise with the National Election Commission office that will be closer to the venue, so that we'll be able to get assistance from them in getting some boxes to help us, with the conduct of the election. And we will when the polls are open by secret ballots, the ballot will be ballot box will be open in the full view of everyone, that will be around, so that you see how many ballots in a particular box, and then let the process go through for as long as it will take, and then the tabulation begin at the close of the voting at the end of the period, and we will not be coming with a result on an incremental basis. We'll wait until everything is done, then we'll release the result again with everybody sitting. It will be a long night. It's always a long night, because everybody will be waiting for the results. So we'll all be assembled one place as the results are being counted, So
Wow.
basically, it will be a nerve-wracking moment, as it always been, and because nobody want to be out, having spent all the time canvassing and for the other candidate, and that's the critical moment that nobody will want to miss. And I don't think anybody will be sent there to stop the election result from being counted, from being given. So we'll not have a Trump star attack to prevent the results from being released.
What a good way! What a good way to close.
Mr. Chair.
So
Mr. Chair,
yes,
Jerry.
Yeah, just one question on the election date. I quite agree, and I think I heard you. And if I'm wrong, correct me. When Josiah asked the question on the guidelines, and he did not see a specific date being mentioned for elections. And I overheard you saying that you may go back to have some consultation with the bishop. Usually, again, as part of the tradition, one bishop will have his eye or her eye on a particular person that they want to support, and to be the successor. My question is, why don't the committee be independent insofar that the committee can even come up with the election date? Why must you have consultation with the bishop? Why?
No, well, I don't think is the question of the committee is not the one that has the timeline by itself, just drawn up to show date of convention. The date of convention, that the date of the convention is something decided by by people above the level of the election commission, and in that convention, the election happened to fall within it. So we cannot make that determination as a committee. I think that would be usurping the function of the bigger body over us, as the case may be. And the determination of the election date had nothing to do with whether bishop is have particular interest in somebody or not. I mean, that is inconsequential to me, really. it had no bearing on who will win the election or not. It just the date is just a date. I mean, it doesn't add any value to anybody, election campaign and what have you. But it's it's just a date that we agree to be this date. So I
Yeah.
think we
Mr. Chair,
shouldn't think that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I would interrupt, I see the point you're coming from, and to the extent possible, I agree with you. The influence of the bishop may be inconsequential. I mean, depending on how influenced the bishop will be, in getting some of the delegates to be concerned. But I don't want to go into those specifics or those details now. Let's wait for the time to come, and then we'll go into that. What I just want to say is that, as a follow-up, is that tentatively, if everyone will want to look at it logically, we may not cross the 17th of April, as per the dates that we see already. We may not cross the 17th of April. So there may be some level of inclination already that, okay, between the 15th, between the 16th, or at least the 13th, there will be elections. So I just thought that that. So is that what you say you got to go back to consult with the bishop, because you got a tentative timetable?
No,
and we got up
yes. Okay. No, Jared. The point here is that, as I told you, we have all hands. I mean, in the basis on the committee when it comes to the conduct of, I mean, when it comes to convention and the election of bishop, so they know the week. You are right. I mean, definitely will be around this particular period, around April 17 or thereabout. But what the only thing I was saying that look, because we normally the work we're doing was supposed to start a little bit later, but we're saying that look, we start soon because this thing here there will be challenges here and there. The listing, just from the past experience, if you jam yourself, it will be problematic, So we start now. If you don't have the venue for the convention, that will be decided upon. The pressure is on the office of bishop and others, to make sure that the determination of the convention venue is made, and that will be like a package deal, really, that will include the specific date of the election and so forth. But it's as it is. We know that we can speak a lot on the election, because right now as we said, we don't know who are running and who have been. But one thing we can assure the public, I mean, our Lutheran brothers and sisters, that they can rest assured that we have had a repetition of conducting credible election in this country. We have nothing, to protect other than the integrity of the church and our own personal character and integrity will be on the line, as I've been in the past, and we'll be doing it in the full view of people. That's the beauty of it. You will not be doing it under the cover of darkness, as the case may be. And again, before I close, issues that we brought up, they were not to say we complain in the church. I mean, that's I'm about that. We know that the election will be held, and the kind of destruction that people get, like the person who called from Police Academy Road. I mean, I'm glad that Jaquette were able to make that clarification to him. People just, I mean, don't take time. Most of the time, they don't take time to even understand the issue. They will always make their mind. We are not complaining the church, as the case may be. We are prepared to conduct the election. What is obtaining, we said that first and foremost, if someone can call me by tomorrow around this time, I should be able to give a definite word that yes, we have the office space. That's the primary concern, and it's just the question of the the church giving us somewhere to be. we're not asking for much. And once that is done, then we can now begin to have a place to sit, because when we go to meet, that I will meet at the chapel, or where they can have a workshop, conference area, and that's not how we think we will be able to run, the election. We need to have a place to sit down. We are just 5 persons. We're not asking for elaborate office. So when we have a desk or so to store whatever material we have, communication that will be coming to us, all of them are secure in such an environment. That's all we are saying. But I'm not somebody who go complaining here and there. It's not part of me, and we are prepared to put in whatever we can at the personal level, whatever sacrifice we can make sure that we conduct a credible, free, fair, and transparent election next year.
Thank you, Honorable Fomoya. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We really appreciate the time you spend with us. Very rewarding. And I like those last comments. Everything we do is to protect the integrity of the church and our own reputation. That matters a whole lot. That stands out. And let me also indicate that transparency and fairness are not separate activities of an electoral process. They are activities that are integral. So they form part of every step of the way in the electoral process to the declaration of results. So when you move materials, it has to be transparently done. When you talk to people, you have to do it transparently. Where you sit in the office, it has to be independent. You're not compromised by any measure. That is the simple definition of transparency and fairness in the electoral process. And so we will encourage the leadership of the LCL to provide a space where the committee can independently work, not mixing up with, the staff and other leaders of the church in conference rooms and other places. We also want to pat the leadership on the shoulders for making 50% of the budget available to the committee. In spite of all the challenges, I think that is welcoming. We appreciate that. The guidelines are up, the timetable also is available, and the question of contact, the information is provided, the guidelines. Just contact your parish, go to the bulletin boards, you will find the information, and you can reach out to the committee. They are available to speak with you. And I will just take a quick moment to hear from my three colleagues, Abel, Willie, and Jerry, seconds each, for their last words before we close.
Thank you so much, Josiah. And I just want to join you to say thanks to the chairman allowing us the opportunity to engage him on critical issues confronting our beloved Lutheran Church in Liberia. I will just wish you all of God's blessing and success that we have in people for to ensure that we have a transparent, peaceful elections. Don't doubt your credibility, don't doubt your reputation, also don't doubt your potential to ensuring that the elections is conducted in a free and fair manner. So we just want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Tyler and Abel, as well as Lee, for all of the interaction. Thank you again, and we hope to see you next time.
Thank you.
Brother Willie?
Yeah. I also want to join my dear brother Jerry, brother Josiah, and brother Abel in saying a big thank you to the chairman. Chairman, thank you very, very much for spending the rest of the evening with us. But I know that you did this for a cause. But Chairman, just one thing that we want to also let you know from this platform, the My Lutheran Connection platform. It is widely viewed by a lot of Lutherans in Liberia, Lutherans in the diaspora as well, globally. So if there's any other thing that we can help you when the committee, when it comes to publicity, please reach out to us and let us know information you want to share out, and there's any other thing that you want us to do, please just reach out to us and let us know. And my last word I would just say is that I know from the very onset you said that which you had a time to invite some of your other committee members. But we want to throw out this opportunity. I know when I say this, my fellow colleagues are in agreement with me that we want to throw out the opportunity before the elections. If you can, get the committee, some of your committee members, we can come back on the show again and we can talk about the bishopric election. Thank you very much for coming and being here with us today.
Most welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Abel?
Yeah.
Okay, first, let me just join the team to extend our deepest gratitude to the chairman for taking time out of his busy schedule, especially at this time in Liberia, to appear on this informative show to inform the Lutheran community as it relates to the upcoming Lutheran bishopric elections. It's a big deal, and I think the chairman has clarified a lot of things tonight. And the recording will be posted. Those that made it live can follow to get some of those details that the chairman just elaborated on. So, chairman, we want to say thank you ever so much. Thank you, Joe and Jerry, for taking up your time to conduct this show. And Willie, thanks for every one of you guys. We appreciate it.
Hey, folks, it's been an interesting interaction, very informative, very educative, and all of your thoughts that went in the process, made it to be splendid, what it is. Highly appreciated. To our viewers, we say thank you for sticking with us. Watch out again for my Lutheran Connection online TV next discussion next Sunday. It's going to be educative, it's going to be informative, it's going to be very interesting. The topic is going to be coming up, the flyers. Watch out for our flyers. You want to see the flyers again. We'd like to say thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like Willie said, power to our invitation. Your committee is going to be appearing on this show till the time of election. And we have no doubt that you will send our invitation for next set of invitations that will be coming away. Until then, this has been Josiah, Willie, Abel, and Jared's production. We want to say thank you, and we look forward to meeting you again next Sunday. Bye to everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.